Hello, welcome to HCC Movie Makers Academy Movie Reviews. I'm Erik Calderon.
And I'm Trey Dixon, and we just saw The Giver.
From great suffering, great pain, came a solution. Communities, where disorder became harmony.
The way things look and the way things are very different.
What do you think would happen if you skipped your morning injection?
I cannot prepare you for what's going to happen.
The Giver is the new film from director Philip Noyce based off of Lois Lowry's novel of the same name. It stars Meryl Streep, Jeff Bridges, Brenton Thwaites, Alexander Skarsgård, Katie Holmes, and Taylor Swift. The story centers around a young boy living in a seemingly perfect society who has the truth of the world around him uncovered when he receives knowledge from a mysterious elder only known as the Receiver.
The film was shot in Cape Town and Johannesburg, South Africa, with a budget of $25 million. Opening weekend, it made back about $12,750,000 back, so it's pretty popular. And it was shot on an Aries Alexa XT, another digital film camera. The film was pretty much a very interesting kind of concept on like this utopian lifestyle. And personally, I think the film was really awesome. I mean, I would give it like a 9 out of a 10 for the way the director shot it, the way he expressed the story, and just the overall acting in the movie was amazing. What do you think, Trey?
Well, I disagree with almost everything you said.
Naturally.
I think that the director is the best part of the movie. Director Philip Noyce, he tries his best to make the material as fresh and unique as he possibly could, but at the same time, you're treading on well-trodden ground. We've seen these concepts hammered in time and time again. This would be a really interesting movie if it came out in the 1970s. But we've had movies like Soylent Green, we've had movies like Logan's Run, we've had movies like Brazil, and if I was going to watch a dystopian movie, I would just watch those. This movie has a really, really heavy-handed Christ message to it, with the apple and the whole Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, stuff like that. Like I said, the director tries his best, but ultimately he's playing with something that's been seen 100 times before. And I respected certain aspects of the film. He does a really good job using color. Color plays a huge part in this movie, and he handles that stuff very well. A lot of hyperkinetic, fast frame rate, like silky watercolor, like film stuff that he does, but ultimately the characters are very boring to me. They're supposed to be, because
talking about the characters, right? So, and this is what I really liked about the film, is that the characters seemed really boring in the beginning, and the film was in black and white, right? And in the beginning, like, I was like, this is going to be the worst movie ever when I first started seeing it, because the characters were really bland. There's no color, and I was like, man, where is this going? But then, once it just started flashing some of the color in, I started seeing what the director was trying to do.
You see, that would be cool, but we've already seen that in another movie, Pleasantville. Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen Pleasantville.
Pleasantville is the exact same thing.
Yeah,
and
I've never seen it.
It's a much better movie.
Okay.
Yeah, the characters are very bland, and they're designed to be that way because it's a utopian society where everybody's been conditioned to not feel emotions. And that's an excuse that is, it's a mildly passable excuse, but whatever works, works, and whatever doesn't work, doesn't work. And I couldn't get emotionally involved in this story because none of the characters were interesting. Everybody was a 2x4. And as Jonas, I think.
Jonas,
as he slowly begins to understand the world around him and he has more memories presented to him, his performance gets a little more lively, but not much.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in this movie is really bland. The only standout performance was from Jeff Bridges, and that's because he's been working for 12 years to get this movie made.
Yeah.
About 12 years ago, he had approached the studio to get this movie turned, to get this book turned into a film, and he had Lloyd Bridges, his father, originally in mind for
The Giver.
Yeah, for The Giver.
Well, see, I got to disagree with you on a few things. Like, I admit that in the beginning it was like 2x4s, right?
Yeah.
But then, as the movie progressed, I started getting emotionally attached to the character when they were at the graduation, and they passed him up on the numbers, and that's where I was able to really personally tie in with the character, and I'm sure all of us could. I mean, you know, all of us have been in that situation at one time in our life where we were like, you know, it's like when we were kids and they were you're on my team and you're on my team and you're on my team kind of deal.
Well, that's the moment in the film where he's singled out and you realize that okay, now he's the main character.
Yeah.
You know, and they did a pretty good job with that scene.
Yeah.
Where they're all in line and they're all being assorted into what they're going to be doing for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
A lot of great.
And that did tie into Divergent. I mean, I saw, like, when I was watching that, I saw Divergent.
Yeah.
And it was exactly the same, but it did have a different spin to it, and I liked it.
I mean, it was well directed.
Yeah.
But that's about the only thing good about it, other than Jeff Bridges' performance.
Wasn't that too much like
I have an unfair
Tron, though? I saw Tron right there. He's playing the exact same character as he did in Tron.
He is in Tron Legacy, really.
Tron Legacy,
for the most part. Yeah. I walked into this movie with kind of an unfair bias, I think, because I was suffering from an innate cynicism. This is another young adult novel.
It is.
We've been getting the Hunger Games, which are still going on.
Divergent.
Harry
Potter.
And not Harry Potter.
Not Harry Potter?
Harry Potter, yes, but I wasn't going to lump Harry Potter in with these books because Hunger Games, Divergent, and now this. They're all about a young teenager struggling for something in a very oppressive dystopian society.
But that's why I would throw Harry Potter in there, because you've got the two boys and the girl, and Harry's the leader.
Yeah.
Kind of like same as this one.
I mean, Harry Potter is a good young adult series, but I wouldn't say there's anything particularly dystopian about those films. Those books.
Well, I'm talking about the relationship between Hermione, Harry, Hermione, Harry, and then what was the other one? The boy's name? Ron. Yeah. And they had the kind of the same relationship as the three main characters.
I wouldn't say so much because throughout the entire Harry Potter series, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are pretty inseparable. But this group of kids.
But they were inseparable.
Not really.
Yeah, they were.
Jonas and what's her face, the girl.
I can't remember her name.
I can't either.
Yeah, it's hard to remember.
They were relatively inseparable, but the one kid runs off and becomes a fighter pilot and starts conforming to society in the way that.
But that's what we think until later on.
I mean, they weren't together very often. He sort of.
He's got his own ideas.
He's got his own ideas. He sort of becomes. I can't remember that kid's name either. I'm sorry, I don't know it. But he kind of comes back and helps them in the end. So I see why you're saying that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to compare this movie to the Harry Potter films because they're vastly superior.
Well, I disagree with you. But I guess as they say, we can agree to disagree.
We can agree to disagree. I think this movie does have a selling point. The one wholly unique thing about this film is that if you would like to finally see Meryl Streep give a phoned-in performance, this is your movie.
Is that phoned in?
She gave the most phoned-in performance of her career. It wasn't bad, but she was basically sleepwalking her way through the entire movie. Every actor was, really, except Jeff.
Well,
Bridges.
But I kind of agree but disagree big time with you, because I think that the way the actors were acting in the film added a lot to the story. As they need to be like that, and that's what's keeping their society from crime and all the terrible things in society that we have, is that blandness. And I really like the way the director did that.
See, I don't know how much personally, I think this movie works better on page. I think this movie is something that should have stayed as a book, because I wouldn't want to make a movie where the characters are intentionally designed to be bland. That way your audience can't get invested. You can't get emotionally invested in what's going on. I didn't care at all during this film. There was some good visual stuff.
It was very good visual stuff.
Some unique visual work, but the characters are just boring, and I could not get behind them. And I wouldn't, and I don't.
Well, I don't think we're meant to get behind them.
I'm thinking that's one of the reasons why it took 12 years to make this movie.
Yeah, but I don't think we're meant to get behind the characters, though. Except for Jonas.
Well, you got to get behind.
And Jeff Bridges, you know, is the giver. I mean, really, like I got behind Jonas in the scene of the graduation, right? And then Jeff Bridges is the giver. I mean, you get behind him, you get emotion. You see the bitterness. I mean, he's really awesome at displaying that bitterness. I mean, he is bitter throughout the whole movie.
He is the shining light of the film. He's really what we should have been gravitating towards, other than Brenton Thwaites. And you can argue that he becomes more open as he discovers more about the world around him. But his performance was still, it stopped being bland, and it just like started being bad.
Really? I liked it. I thought it was great. I thought it was great.
None of the kids in this movie, I don't think we'll ever see any of them ever again.
Really?
I saw Brenton Thwaites earlier in this movie. I saw him earlier this year in Oculus, which is a horror film with Karen Gillan, and he was okay in that movie. Yeah. But I don't think any of the young actors in this film have it in them to stand out and have a lasting career.
Really, I disagree with you. I mean, I think they did a good job.
Yeah. I mean, Katie Holmes shows up to collect a paycheck.
Katie Holmes.
She's Tom Cruise's ex-wife.
Ex-wife, and she's the mother.
She's the mother.
Yeah,
Alexander Skarsgård, who is a great actor, shows up to collect a paycheck.
Who was he?
He was the father.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think they did a great job, especially the mother and the father, and then, you know, I think that the way they acted brought a lot to the story. You know?
I mean, could take it or leave it.
I think those actors will make it good in the future.
Maybe, I don't know. I can't claim to know that. Taylor Swift shows up.
Yeah.
She's used appropriately because she's not an actress.
Yeah.
She's a singer. She should stick to writing pop music.
Yeah.
She shows up for like 5 seconds and has the most comical line delivery. I don't want the knowledge. I don't want it. And then she storms out like this.
Yeah. And I thought that was a good, that part of the story was a great hook, because throughout the movie you're like, who is she? Who is this girl? And then the way Jonas asks about who was the previous in line for the giver.
Yeah, and it turns out that it was, the Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it's Taylor Swift, and I like the way they played that, and I like the way it turned out. I mean, it was really interesting, because then in the end, you see why the giver is so bitter.
Yeah, because and there's a relationship between the previous receiver to be and Jeff Bridges' character that gets established in the film. All of Jeff Bridges' stuff is pretty good.
Yeah.
I wanted the movie to just be him.
Yeah.
You know, if you like Jeff Bridges a lot, you might enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really. If you really, really like the book and you're a big fan of the book, go ahead and watch it, because the director really wanted to make a good film.
Yeah.
You can tell that he wanted to make a good movie. Ultimately, it wound up being kind of just bland and boring.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, and I'm surprised that it only made $12.7 million. I thought it would have made more. I know it's going to make its money back. I mean, it's going to make the $25 million back.
$25 million is not that hard to make back.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
And you got Bridges, and you got Streep, and you got Taylor Swift showing up for 5 seconds to fully solidify the knowledge that it is in fact a teen film.
Yeah. And on a $25 million budget, I mean, they did a great job with sets and.
Yeah, I will say that they had there's a lot of great production quality in this movie.
Even you thought it was $60 million. I mean, remember I asked you, I said, how much do you think? And you said $60 million.
Yeah, after we watched this movie, I thought it was much more expensive than $25 million. They had a lot of really great production design, a lot of nice modern angles, and the whole community looked really interesting. And some of the CGI work with the drones and all that stuff. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
They did on a visual level, the film is very good.
Yeah.
But on a storytelling level, it falls completely flat.
Well, I disagree with you. I would disagree with you on that. The story, I think the storytelling was. I do admit I did see some holes in the story, and I was like, and I was like, okay, wait, that how did that happen, or how'd that sled get there? You know?
Yeah. Why would that be there?
Why would that be there? Yeah.
Is it a memory? Did they leave it there from hundreds of years ago?
Yeah.
Are there people in that house?
Yeah.
Is he going to go in and have a nice home cooked meal waiting for him?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah. So on that side, yeah, but I still really enjoyed the story and getting to know the characters and how they progressed. You know,
maybe you would see it how I see it if I recommended a few dystopian movies, because I would not watch this movie. I would watch films like Brazil. Brazil is a great dystopian
I think
film.
I've seen Brazil.
I doubt it. I'll show you Brazil sometime.
I think I've seen it a long time ago. That's an old movie.
It's 80s.
Yeah.
80s, 89.
I saw it way back.
Blade Runner. Soylent Green, I know you've seen.
I've seen so. I didn't like Blade Runner, but
that's one of those films that's like just anyway.
I didn't get it. I didn't like it.
Watch a lot of dystopian films.
Well, Divergent is dystopian.
Yeah, technically, and it's one of the weaker ones.
I liked it.
If you watch all of the milestone dystopian movies,
you notice I like all the weaker movies. You know.
Yeah. You're a treat. All right. Well, that's what we thought. I give it about a 5. You give it about a 9.
I'd give this movie a 9, and I would recommend go see it. It's really nice. It's going to be a lot of fun, and your family is going to enjoy it.
You maybe see it on DVD. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think movie theater. Well, really, DVD?
DVD.
Oh, man. Movie theater. We are filmmakers, and we love films. If you love films, please contact the Houston Community College Filmmaking Program, Erik Nitzberg, to get more information. We are sponsored by the HCC Filmmaking Program and by HCC TV. For more information, visit www.hccs.edu. I'll also put a link at the bottom of the screen for the filmmaking program so you can contact them to get more information. That's it, right?
That's it.
I think that was it. Did I
Yeah,
leave
we don't.
anything out, Trey?
Who cares? How do you close a review?
Stay classy. Stay classy, Houston. Stay classy.
Well,
Houston.
that's good though. That's
Yeah,
wrap.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good. You delivered your lines really good on that last one. But the only thing I was missing was you guys